Hello beautiful people, it is Jada Jo. Welcome to or back to my channel. I honestly can't believe this is the first time I'm making a video about this subject. I graduated in 2019. I had such a negative high school experience, and I've opened up about basically every other struggle that I've ever faced in my entire life, but I've never opened up about the 4-year struggle that I faced in high school. And I think it's because it was such a negative experience that I've tried to just move forward and focus on myself right now and not think too much about that struggle. But I do want to open up today just so that I can be a voice and a light to anyone going through similar struggles, to know that you are absolutely not alone and that you can get through this. So without further ado, let's just get right into the nitty-gritty. Just gonna start out by saying that this video is in no way against my actual high school. My older brother went to the same exact high school as me, and he had a very positive high school experience there. He was on the football team, he had all of the friends, he had all of the girlfriends, he had so much fun in high school. And so this is not against my actual high school, it's just the people that I engaged with and the environment that I was in that was very toxic for me. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I'm just gonna start with freshman year, because that was the beginning of this journey, the 4-year journey of absolutely hating high school. So freshman year, there's a bunch of new faces, you know, a bunch of middle schools fed into my high school, so a lot of new people that I didn't know. Everyone's just trying to figure out who their people are, who their friends are, what clubs they want to be in, just trying to figure out all of the newness. And I was also recovering from an eating disorder, so I was mentally struggling. I was super insecure. I just wanted to feel like I was a part of something. I wanted to belong. I wanted to find some friends. And there was a few girls from my middle school that kind of formed this little clique with some girls that didn't go to my middle school, and I was like, okay, I'll join this little group. And from the moment I joined this group, I felt left out. That's a common thread with me in friend groups. I always feel like I'm the odd man out, and I absolutely felt that way in this friend group, but I continued to be friends with them because I just blamed it on myself. And I was like, well, maybe if I change, maybe if I do something to kind of fit in better, they'll like me more and they'll invite me to more things. But they would literally plan hangouts at the lunch table as I was sitting right there and then not invite me to it. But I continued to be friends with them because I just so badly wanted a friend group that I was like, it's not them, they're treating me exactly how they should, I'm just doing something wrong. And I just always blamed it on myself, which, as I've been reflecting over my high school experience, has been something I've reflected on a lot, because a lot of the times I continued to apologize for things that I didn't do in a lot of the different friend groups that I was in, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But basically, this friend group always felt left out, and I didn't have like reason enough to leave. You know, I could tell them I always feel left out, whatever, but I just felt like it wasn't reason enough to leave. Well, don't worry, they gave me a reason to leave this friend group. So basically, at the lunch table that we sat at, which I don't know how your high school works, but at my high school, you pick the table you're gonna sit at for the rest of the year on the first day, and then everyone just sits at the same table every single day for the rest of the year. So we sat at the same table every single day, and there was this boy that sat with us, and he had disabilities. I'm not gonna say his name, but he was super, super sweet. He didn't engage in a lot of conversation, but I think he just wanted people to sit with and wanted to feel included. So he sat with us, and at first the girls were kind to him. They would try to engage him in conversation, they would make jokes with him, whatever. But as time went on, they started to not treat him so nicely. They would start to make jokes under their breath as though he wasn't intellectually developed enough to realize that they were talking about him right across the table. And they started to make little comments about how uncomfortable he made them, even though he didn't do anything. He just sat there and ate his lunch and wanted to be a part of our group. But basically one day I went down to lunch and I saw my little friend group sitting at a different table than what we normally sit at. And I was like, that's really weird, because again, once you find your table, you sit there every single day for the rest of the year. So it was odd that they were sitting at a different table. And I look over to the table that we normally sit at, and that boy is sitting there. And my friend group intentionally got up from that table and moved somewhere else so that they were not sitting by him. And this was absolutely not okay with me. As someone that's super passionate about the disabled community, I have a brother who is disabled. I worked at a group home for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I worked with so many students in high school with disabilities, and I'm super passionate about this community. So this was the last straw for me in this friend group. You know, a lot of these girls participated in clubs that would engage students with disabilities, but then when it came down to this real life situation where this boy with disabilities wanted to be included in our friend group, they stepped away from the situation and made him sit alone, and I just could not believe it, and that was my first insight into the fact that a lot of the girls around me did not have the same standards for morality that I did, if that makes sense. I just was truly baffled at how different our hearts were in that moment. Then I went several months without having basically any friends. I also quit competitive cheer right before freshman year, so I didn't even have any friends outside of school, so you know, it got a little lonely. But thankfully, sophomore year of high school, I found another group of friends, and just like every other time that I found a new group of friends, I thought these were my ride or dies. I thought this was gonna be the group that was gonna stick. It wasn't. We'll get into that. Basically, I got super close with this one girl in particular that was also in this friend group. We became best friends. This was the first time I ever had someone that I called like my best friend, and that they actually called me their best friend too. That was like huge for me. So I was so excited about that. You know, one of my toxic traits, I will admit, is that I get super clingy when I find someone that I click with, just because I don't have a lot of experiences like that. So when I do find someone, I get super clicky and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to hang out with you all the time. And that's what I wanted to do with this girl. You know, we hung out all of the time and everyone knew us as best friends, all of that stuff. It was so great, but also this longing to continue to be her best friend, continue this relationship, caused me to look over a lot of red flags. We would get in a fight because I would bring up something that would hurt my feelings that she did to me, and somehow towards the end of the conversation, it would turn into me apologizing for something, and it just didn't make any sense. And there was a lot of red flags along the way, but again, I just continued to blame it on myself, or say, you know, like, it doesn't matter, we're best friends. I was just so invested, and you know, the more time and effort you put into something, the more likely you are to continue to try to make it work because you have so much invested. And that is what happened. It just got to a point where I hit my final straw. We had a big blowout, and that was the end of our relationship. And not only was it hard to not be friends with her anymore, because obviously she was my bestest friend, and losing a friend is so hard, but she also made it a million times harder because her true colors started to show after our little friendship breakup, and she would turn everyone that was once both of our friends against me. And so now I did not only lose my best friend, but I was also losing all of these other relationships that were interconnected with this friendship, because we had a lot of the same friends, and somehow I still don't know what types of things that she was saying to people, but everyone was starting to ignore me, starting to separate themselves from me, even though I didn't do anything. Like, our friendship didn't end after, you know, I really hurt her or she really hurt me. I started the chain of reaction of bringing up some things that she was doing to me, and it just turned into this big thing, and we decided that, okay, we're not gonna be friends anymore. But I did not do anything awful that she could tell other people to turn them against me. So I was just flabbergasted. I was like, I have no idea what she's telling them, but whatever it is, it can't be true because I did not do anything wrong. I know that for a fact. All of a sudden, I lost all of my friendships, which anyone can imagine how freaking hard that is, especially when you're losing them for something that you didn't do. And again, I don't even know what that thing is because I don't know what she was saying. But eventually we moved on. You know, she got all of the friends. I started to make other friends, and I made this friend. This was junior year of high school. I made this friend, and still to this day, this friend was one of the best friends that I've ever had. But I made this friend. I got super close with her, and she was friends with that other girl that I had a friendship breakup with at one point. But you know, we became super close, and I didn't necessarily say like don't talk to that other girl, but I would open up to this new friend about how the other girl treated me. So she did start to separate herself from that other girl, because you know, when you're friends with someone and they tell you that this other girl was awful to them, you're not going to be friends with that other girl, you know what I mean? But I didn't necessarily try to turn my new friend against my old friend. It just came up in the conversation. She was watching all of these people distance themselves from me, and I was telling her I didn't do anything wrong, and you know, she was just as confused as I was, and she was watching me get hurt, and she was supporting me. She was such a great support system for me during that time. I'm so thankful that I had her during that friendship breakup, because again, it was so challenging, and just even to have one person that was saying, hey, I'm on your side, I believe you, I'm here for you, was huge to me, and I'm still so thankful for that relationship to this day. But guess what? Guess what? Old friends somehow found a way to turn this new friend against me, this girl that I loved so much. We had such a good relationship going. I truly thought that this relationship was gonna last for so long. Obviously, just like every other relationship, I'm not gonna engage in a relationship if I don't think it's gonna last, but I really believed in our friendship so much, and I was loving the trajectory that it was going on, and all of a sudden, she stopped being my friend, and I was like, What do you mean? What do you mean? We had something so good going. What do you mean? And she basically texted me saying, like, I know what you said about me. I know what you say to other people when I'm not with you. This one, out of all the things that happened in high school, this is the one that still hurts me the most to talk about, just because, you know, I'll admit that there were some things that I did in high school, some things that I said that if I could go back, I would take them back. But I absolutely did not say one bad thing about this girl. I loved this girl. This girl was so kind to me. We had such a good relationship going. There would be no reason for me to talk bad about her in any regard. Even to this day, I can't say anything bad about her. But she did believe what that other girl said, and she turned her back on me, and she sent me a text saying, I know what you said, and that was the end of that. She would not take my word, even though I was being honest. Like, I will still say to this day that I was being honest. I actually texted her, I think like 2 years after this situation happened, and was like, hey, I know we don't even talk anymore, but I just really want you to know that that never happened, and I did not say one bad thing about you. And she was like, thanks for the text. I don't even know what she said, but she doesn't believe me. She believed what the other girl said, and that was the worst. That was the worst of all of them. I just could not believe that that girl not only took away all of my friends that we both had together, but now this new friendship that was growing and evolving and flourishing, she took that away from me too. I just could not believe it. And this was kind of the final straw of me trying at all. I was so done with high school after this. That was just the end of me trying to be friends with anyone, of me trying to just be a part of the high school experience at all. After junior year, I was completely done. I went to my parents and bawled my eyes out and begged them to do online school for my senior year because I did not want to step foot in that freaking high school ever again. I did not want to be surrounded by these people that were making up lies about me. I did not want to be surrounded by people that were believing the lies that were being said about me. I just could not understand where this was all coming from, because I am a flawed human being. We are all flawed human beings. I'm not trying to say that I did nothing wrong to anyone throughout my whole high school experience. I definitely could have handled certain situations in a more mature way, but I am a good person. I was always a good person. I never did anything to purposely hurt anybody during high school, and I just could not understand why I was being the target for so many of these lies and rumors and hurtful behavior, because I was a good person. Like, why are you trying to hurt this nice person? I am just trying to be friends with people, just trying to be a light. You know, I'm very similar to the way that I was in high school. I've grown a lot and come into my own, but I have a very similar heart, very similar morals than I did in high school, and I was a good person. I did not do anything to hurt people, and again, I could not understand why these people were coming for me, why these people would believe these lies about me when they've seen the way that I acted towards them. I was never hurtful to them, so why would they believe this other girl saying that I was really hurtful towards her, or whatever she was saying to other people? So I begged my parents to do online senior year. They said no because they were worried I would fall into a super deep depression and never talk to another human being ever again, and that is probably what I would have done if they would have said yes, but that's what I wanted. I wanted to be alone in my room and not have to interact with anyone from my high school ever again. But they said no. However, they said, let's go talk to your school administration and see if we can work something out. So I had a meeting with the school administration, and I was just talking them through all of the things that I was experiencing, and I was bawling in that meeting. There was a lot of tears during this time in my life because I was not having a fun time. That's all I can say about that. But we had this meeting with the administration. It was my principal, my counselor, and then I don't really remember who else, but basically we sat down. I told them all of my grievances about school, and again, it was nothing about the actual school itself, so it's nothing that they could have changed. It's just these people I was around did not treat me right, and I was so done with it. But again, my parents wanted me to go to the high school, so basically we worked out a 504 plan, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically an accommodation for people that are struggling with their mental health. It can look a lot of different ways for different people. Sometimes it's testing accommodations, sometimes it's passes so that you can leave class whenever you need in case you're about to have an anxiety attack. For me, it was that I did not have to do the number of classes that other seniors had to do. I got to do one less class. That was like their little bargain for me to stay. They're like, okay, stay at school but do one less class, and my parents were like, that's great. And so I was like, Alright, I don't even want to be here for one class, but okay, thank you. I just want to pop in and say that I'm very grateful for my school for giving me the 504 plan. It sounds like I'm very ungrateful in this video. It was just that is not what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be there for 4 classes. I didn't want to be there for any classes. So no matter what they would have said, it wouldn't have been enough for me at that time. But I'm super, super grateful that they did accommodate for me and that they did take into consideration their students' mental health. So just wanted to put that out there. So that became my 504 plan. I actually have never told anyone, I don't think, that I had a 504 plan because I, one, just didn't have any friends to tell. Like, there was no one in my life senior year that I could have told that, or like, there's just been no reason to tell anyone about that. And I think I was also just embarrassed about it because, you know, in my head I was like, get over it, Jada. Like, they're just mean girls. This is just petty behavior. Like, get over it. But it was hurting me so much that I was struggling with my mental health because of it. I didn't tell many people about that. I put on a face every single day, acted like I was fine. But every single time I would see the girls that were still all friends together that completely abandoned me and believed all these lies about me, it was really, really hard for me. I would often skip last period, go sit in my car and bawl my eyes out because I could not take another moment in that school. If you know me, you know that I don't skip class. You know that I work so hard at every single thing that I do. I was done. If I did not have swim my senior year, I genuinely do not know what I would have done because that was the only thing that was making me excited for life. The only reason I was able to get through school every day was because I knew that once school was over, I got to go home, put on my swimsuit, and go to swim. And I'm so thankful for every single person on my swim team that encouraged me every single day. You know, a lot of them didn't know the struggle that I was facing behind closed doors, but they were so supportive of me. I'm seriously so grateful to swim. That is one of the reasons that swim will forever hold a special place in my heart, because it wasn't just this hobby of mine, it was genuinely the thing getting me through life during that year. Nobody on my swim team went to my high school, so I genuinely got to just step away from that part of my life every single day and go do something that I loved with people that I loved, and it was the greatest outlet I could have ever asked for. I remember graduation night. It was one of the hardest nights of my entire life. Obviously, graduation's supposed to be a fun, exciting time in your life. You're done with that chapter. You can move on. A lot of people celebrate with their friends and their family, and it's just supposed to be a really fun night, but I don't know another time in my life when I felt so alone. I remember graduation ending and everyone walking to go find their people, go find their friends, go find their family, and I walked with my family and they're like, let's take pictures, whatever. And I just had tears in my eyes and I just said, let's go. Like, can we please get out of here? I haven't wanted to be here any moment of any single day this entire year. I don't want to be here right now. I don't have anyone to celebrate with other than my family. Obviously, they were excited for me. It was one of the most isolating nights of my entire life, and I think that one of the reasons it was so isolating is because nobody there understood how hard that last year of my life was, how hard it was to get through senior year, and everyone was cheering, acting like it was so much fun, you know, they're celebrating their last day on campus, whatever, and I was just sitting there reflecting on that past year of my life and how miserable it was. I just keep tearing up because I wish that I could have been there for myself the way that I know that I could be now if that happened to me now. I didn't have the tools that I have now in terms of self-love and just coping mechanisms in general, and I just wish that I could give her the biggest hug. And I also hope that nobody watching this video is feeling the way that I was feeling, but I know that there's other people that struggle in high school the way that I struggled. I did go and travel the world for 3 months after I graduated high school. I didn't go straight into college, and I think that when I tell people, yeah, I had a negative high school experience and so I just took a little break before college, like, no one really understands the complexity and the depth of my struggle in high school, because I never sit down and I never have this conversation and open up in that way with people. But I think that once you understand my struggle, then that little break just makes a little bit more sense, because I genuinely needed it so much and ended up being the best decision I've ever made in my life. But if you're feeling like maybe what other people are doing, maybe going to college straight out of high school, maybe what society tells you you should do is not the best for your mental health, I just want to eliminate the stigma of caring for our mental health and putting our mental health first before school, before grades, before what society says. I really want to eliminate that stigma and just open up about these things, because I want everyone to know that they're not alone. There are so many more people struggling than we realize, and I think when you're in the struggle, it's so easy to feel alone. And so I hope that a video like this can help anyone that is struggling. I have never opened up to anyone about these things. Like, I didn't even tell my parents a lot of the times when people would hurt me in high school, because I knew that they wouldn't want me to hang out with them anymore, and I knew deep down that I was going to be friends friends with them again, so I would just never tell my parents when someone hurt me in case I wanted to be friends with them again so my parents didn't have a negative stigma. But if you're hiding things that your friends are doing from your parents, that's probably a red flag that what they're doing is not okay. But again, I was just blaming everything on myself and never taking a look at the actual friendship and being like, hey, is this healthy for me? Because if I were to do that, I would have stepped back from basically every relationship that I was ever in high school. So that's where I'm at now. I have learned to love myself and appreciate myself and respect myself way too much to ever enter into relationships like the ones I was engaged in high school. I would not let people treat me the way that I let people treat me in high school. I would stand up for myself. I would not apologize for things that I did not do. You know, I've learned a lot, and so I do think that it's a blessing that I had to go through that struggle, and I think that it's allowed me to be okay by myself and learn that people should be adding to my life, not completing my life. I posted a little TikTok about this the other week, and so many people related, which is a huge reason I decided to make this video, is because I realized there's a lot of people in my position. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want me to open up more about this topic, please let me know. If you are also in a similar position, comment down below, DM me. I would love to give you some words of encouragement. I'm praying for all of you. I'm praying for all of the girls that I mentioned in this video, and I'm praying that they have found who they are, that they have blossomed into beautiful, mature young ladies, and that they are making their way and loving life. I will see you guys in the next video. I need to go freaking take a nap. That was so exhausting. I love you. Bye.